Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadata. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadata. Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadata. Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. Good morning. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Good morning. Today we are reading a very special, we're starting a very special section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Second canto, chapter 9, text 31 to 33. Now, you know, we're not just going to start, right? We're going to ask some questions. So, just before this verse, these verses, and this is a special section because these are called the seed verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and seed is the Sanskrit term for seed is bija. And so there are seed mantras, there are seed verses, there are things that, what does it mean to be a seed mantra or a seed verse? It is to set a tone or to set a tattva or a indication or a particular mood of what follows. So just like we start every class, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. So Om is a bija mantra. And there are many bij mantras. So there's the Om, and that's very famous. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Sada. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Jnana. Om Pavitro, so many things that it is to set that what we are about to do is going to be in relationship with the Supreme Personality of God, at the Supreme Brahman. And then there's other bija mantras, Klim and Aim and Pranavas. There's different seed, and again they are to set an indication of what is to follow. So a seed verse, or the seed verses of Bhagavatam, and there are also, interesting to know, there are 4 seed verses of the Bhagavad Gita that is found in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And again, they are to set the mood for the rest of the work. And so we find this in the very beginning of these discussions between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami. Even though this is second canto, this is the first canto in which they are having their discussion. So these verses, and we can just look at the length of the purports of these verses. Srila Prabhupada put a lot of effort into these. They're very famous as those that set the indication of the Bhagavatam. And so, but just before this, what was happening? As Krishna is about to speak, who's he speaking to? Very good. Speaking to Lord Brahma. And what, did Brahma ask any questions? Yes. Now, I'm not going to be too difficult here, but does anybody remember something of what Brahma was asking? Yes.
Lord Brahma doesn't want to become puffed up because the task of Visharga creation is given to him. So he asks the Lord whether, please instruct me on how I can always remember them.
Yeah. How do I do my service? One question. Very good. Anything else did he ask? So he asked 4 questions, and what's interesting, and I'm kind of a geek for these things. I like to find how things weave together. Geek out on these types of verses. I think that's a term nowadays, right? People geek out on things. So there are 4 questions, and the 4 answers are the 4 seeds, the 4 seed verses. And we get this, not only that, but then there's a single verse that has it all. And that's text 31, today's first verse. We're going to be focusing on the first Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, which is 33, but we can't go there without going to 31. So I'm going to speak something on 31, and then we'll move on. Om Yajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshun Tamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gunamayam Bhakti Swapanandam Vancha Kalpa Shurvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vivasat Patitanam Bhavani Vyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Namaste Giriraj Jaya Shri Govardhana Namaya Shesha Kleshana Panamanandayani Vrindavani Vinde Vishwapujita Pushprasada Nandini Krishna Jivini Vishwapavani. So this 31, Jiva Goswami says that this is a verse that is filled with hints. There are hints. And so, Jnanam Paramam Guyam Me. So the first, these go with the seed verses. So the Jnanam, who is Krishna? And who are we? This is what is the topic of the first Chatur Shloki, text 33. It starts at Hame Vasya Eva Gray. We'll get to that. But Jnanam Paramam Guyam, knowledge about me is very confidential, is Guyam. It is very confidential. So that's the first hint of the first topic of the seed verse. Then Yad Vijnanam Samanvitam. It is, well, we may have knowledge, we may understand, we may be able to read a book, or we may be, but how do we realize it? How do we practically see that? How is it perceived in the world? Because here's Brahma. He's first asking, who are you? And then, how do I see you everywhere? How is it? What are all these energies and all these things that are in the matter? How do I see that? And so the second, verse 34, will be, the hint is given that this will be about how to realize that absolute truth, how to realize Krishna within everything. Then, Sarahasyam. So we know this word, Rahasyam. Who knows what the word Rahasyam? Yes.
Secret.
Secret. Yeah, there's a number of different, so it's very secret, very mysterious, it's very confidential. So this third question of Brahma, where he asks, first he asks, who are you? How, and what's up with all this nature? I see that you're sometimes coming into the nature, and sometimes you're aloof of it. I know it's very secret. So can you tell me how this is going on? Why are you doing this? Why are you blowing our minds like this? Why is the creation here? And why do you have your, and then why are you coming in and out of it? So it's Sahasra. It's very secret, it's very mysterious. Because these are topics that we wouldn't, it's not a common topic. Because typically the understanding of God and his majesty and everything is all very, very full of opulence and full of power and majesty. And then, we just bow down. And there's no understanding that, does he interact with us? How does he interact with us? Why does he interact with us? These are secrets that we will look at. And then finally, what Sundari brought up of Tad Angam. Tad Angam is how, and there's a lot of mystery in this word, because the translation is, what is the service, or what is the means by which to attain this knowledge or attain this service? What is the means? And it's Prabhupada will give us the hint that is our sadhana bhakti, our process of sadhana bhakti, which is comprised of Vaidhi bhakti and Raganuga bhakti. But the secret to this word, tad angam, it means, anga means it's a part of Krishna. It's not just a process that we're doing and somehow or other we'll get connected. The process itself is part of Krishna. It is Krishna's Anga. It is, and this is where this Sarasyam is coming. Rahasyam is, what is the mystery of all this? But these were the three questions and or the four questions and the four subsequent answers in text 33 through 36. So in this purport, Prabhupada summarizes the four questions, and then he also talks about the four topics, but he doesn't go exactly in the order that they're presented in the verses. He first starts with the Vijnanam, then Jnanam, then Sahasra, then a Tadanga. That's 31. Then 32, such another wonderful verse that, well, actually, let's read this verse 31 first, because if you just kind of put yourself in the mood of that, well, we're coming to Krishna consciousness, we want to know about Krishna, so how is it done? Krishna said, and so when you go to the source to find things, so, why did, what's in the subji? You have to go to the person who cooked it. You can't just like, oh, maybe there's a little cumin or, what does that taste? Is that asafetida? Okay. But you got to go to the source. You got to go to the cook. So Krishna, the source, is telling us knowledge about me, as described in the scriptures, is very confidential. Paramam Guhyam. And it has to be realized in conjunction with devotional service. Now, that's a very important statement. It is not something we can armchair it. There's the old description of different philosophies, that it's an armchair philosophy. Anyone know what that means?
Sit back and read it and you realize.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Because this doesn't have an arm on, but you'd sit back and you'd philosophize. You think, oh, I think it's like this. Yeah, very good. And you talk about it for a little, but then you get up and your life is a completely different activity. That's armchair philosophy. Krishna is saying that's not how you understand. You cannot understand me just by, the Mahabharata says you can't understand Krishna just by reading a bunch of books or having a bunch of discussions. You have to hear it from a realized person. But here he's saying, in this, it has to be with devotional service. And this is also something very key in the understanding Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita is such a beautiful, it's also one of these things like Gita, is that the Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita has this protection around its seed verses. So, and Prabhupada gives the example, Prabhupada and Jiva Goswami give two different examples of this. Prabhupada gives it like a book. A book has two covers, and the covers protect the book. Otherwise, if you just have a book with no covers, then the pages will get ripped and things, but the covers protect it. But the covers, yes, they're important, but the real thing is inside the book. So, Jiva Goswami and Prabhupada say that the first 6 cantos are the first canto, or the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita are the front cover. The last 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita are the back cover. But the real, content of the Gita is the middle 6 chapters. And then in the middle of the 6 chapters is the 10th chapter, where the 4 seed verses are. And so Prabhupada calls it like a book. Jiva Goswami says it's like a box. There's like a bottom of a box, the top of a box, and then within the box is a beautiful jewel. Beautiful jewel. So it's very confidential, and it has to be done with devotional. So why is this example given? Because the first part of Bhagavad Gita is karma and yoga. We're hearing about this path to understand the absolute truth, but through karma, through yoga. And throughout that section, again and again and again, or Krishna is saying this can only be done with devotion added to it. He doesn't just give the yoga or just give karma. He gives it, but do it as an offering unto me. Right? Has to be with devotional service. But devotional service doesn't necessarily need the karma and the yoga. So that's the distinction. And similarly, the end of Bhagavad Gita, last 6 chapters, omitting, like the last part of the 18th chapter, which is pure bhakti. But that is on jnana, understanding Krishna through knowledge and through that. It also needs, it is very much in need of bhakti to become successful jnani. But in the devotional service is independent on its own. So we can't understand Krishna without devotional service. So whether it's through meditation, through yoga, through karma, through jnana, all of those you cannot understand unless there is devotional service. So he's stressing that the necessary paraphernalia for the process, or how is it done? How do we do that devotional service? That necessary paraphernalia I'm explaining right now in these 4 seed verses. You may take it up carefully. That's another, it's a very personal, what happened right after Brahma asked this question? What happened? Does anyone remember? It strikes me. It's like, it blows my mind even. Yes. Hey, shakes his hand. Now, what does shaking a hand mean? Think about it for a moment. There's no right or wrong, but just think about it. I've thought about it a little bit. Yes.
We discussed this in yesterday's
Oh,
class.
good.
And I believe, I think the verse is saying, or Purport was saying, that shake hands like that, those 2 persons are on the equal level as friends.
Yeah, there's a relationship. Anybody else? Yeah. Huh? You have to reach to understand. Oh, you've reached the understanding. Okay. Yes.
I think traditionally it means I don't have a weapon.
Okay. Good. Any other thoughts on shaking hands? Collaboration, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about it, and it's like, in many cultures, there's different ways of greeting people, right? But shaking the hands is probably the most personal way. So generally, namaste, we offer pranams, or in certain Asian cultures, they bow down. There's a nod of the head. But shake your hand, you're crossing a line there, bro. You're like, and you're grabbing. Anyway, I'm going to tell a joke, but there was an old cartoonist in the 80s. His name was Gary Larson. It was a very funny cartoon he did one time. That aliens from another planet, they had come and they landed in a farm. And their bodies were basically, a forearm and a hand, and the forearm had legs, and the hand was the head. So they're coming out of this spaceship like this, and the farmer saw it. Obviously he's an American farmer, so shaking hands is the right thing to do, right? So it's just a single frame. You see this setting, and then the caption is, just before the annihilation of the planet, Farmer Jed went to greet his guests. So obviously he would shake the hand as natural, but it would be like grabbing the alien's head and shaking them. So this is an act of war. But anyway, it's a joke. But but shaking hands is like you're becoming very personal. And that is that's the real purpose of this Chatushloki, is to show that Krishna is a person. And to know that, that's the first chapter. So we'll get there in a second. Text 32, all of me, namely my actual eternal form and my transcendental existence, color, qualities, and activities, let it all be awakened within you by factual realization. And how does that happen? By Krishna's mercy. And this, you would think, okay, this reminds me of Tesham Evanam Kampartam, one of the seed verses of Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna, as we surrender, as we endeavor for Krishna, and what is the endeavor? Mat-chitta mat-gata-prana, we Bodhiyantas, we chant about Krishna, we serve him, we dedicate our lives to him. And Evan Nukampartam, he gives us the mercy. Gives it causelessly. Give us that mercy. So you've asked questions. So this is saying basically, you've asked questions. You want to know about my existence, my color, and what is color? You want to know really about me, all different aspects of me, all the different shades of me. Yes, I'm Brahman, but I'm also Paramama, and I'm also the supreme personality of Godhead. And even that, yes, I am supreme opulent, like Lakshmi Narayan. I'm also just a little boy, and I like to steal butter. All of that, that's all the colors. This is the colors, the qualities and activities. Karma be all the different activities I perform. You're asking that. The only way to know it, as he previously said, is through devotional service, and when it's given by me, and you can understand it by my mercy. So let us now hear this first answer to Brahma's first question, more or less, who are you? And we can chant this. Aham evasya mevagre nanyad yat sad asat param paschadaham yad etachcha yo vashishyeta sosmyaham aham evasam evagre nanyad yat sadasat param paschadaham yad etachcha yo vashishyeta sosmyaham. Yeah? Anyone? Aham evasya evagre nanyad yat sadasat param paschadaham yad etachcha yo vashishyeta sosmyaham. Aham evasyam evagre nanyad yat sadasat param paschadaham yad etachcha yo vashishyeta sosmyaham. Okay, we'll do the word for word together. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Eva, certainly. Asam, existed. Eva, only. Agre, before the creation. Na, never. Anyat, anything else. Yat, all those. Sat, the effect. Asat, the cause. Param, the supreme. Paschat, at the end. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Yet, all these, etat, creation, cha, also, everything, avashisheta, remains, saha, that, Ashmi, I am, aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Get an indication of what aham means? I, the personality of God. I love it when it's another geeky thing, right? He repeats it again and again and again. It must be important. This must be an important verse. Brahma, so he's very personal. Brahma, you've asked me these questions. You've asked me who am I, right? More or less. What does Prabhupada summarize the question? The question is, what are the forms of the Lord, both in matter and in transcendence? That's in the purport of 31. So this is the answer. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was the material nature the cause of the creation. So it was just me. There wasn't even this nature. Now you're sitting now on top of this lotus flower, wondering about this nature, wondering about your origin. You're wondering. And Krishna is saying, it was just me, and this nature wasn't even there. That what you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of God. This is a very, let's say, definitive answer that, because these are things that sometimes keep thinkers up at night. When they think about eternity or they think about infinity, they think, okay, infinity, what's the end of infinity? And then what's just on the other side of that infinity? Is there more? Oh, there must be more because it's infinity. Then that comes in. But what's on the other side of that? You really kind of keep your senses awake sometimes thinking about these things. But Krishna is very definitively saying, it is me. Everything in existence before you, this lotus flower, this material creation and the ingredients, before it was just me. And you, this material world, the creation, the lotus flower, that is also me. Now that's like quite amazing. And when all of it is gone, once again, that is also me. Now it's a very long purport. We're not going to read it all, but we can summarize. So the first very long paragraph is summarized more or less that he's talking about those two eyes, the ahams, the two eyes. The one is I, the personality of Godhead. I think we got that point from the word for word. It is I, the personality of Godhead. But then there's also this I of you, of Brahma, of the living entities. Because we are also thinking, we're always thinking, I know I am, right? I am. I am thinking about me always. So this I, but I'm nothing but a part and parcel of Krishna. And the different Prabhupada will go and explain. I know this is a lot of philosophy and it is a little boring, but the quality and quantity is the difference. We are one in quality. We are also eyes. We are certainly eyes, but our quantity is so much different than Krishna. And that's why this verse is there to say that just know that of all the eyes, I am the supreme. I am there before, I am there now, and I will be there at the end. So that's one of the uh, parts of the purport. And then the second paragraph, he's saying we cannot deny that we all have personalities. We all have individuality. And that's something he is giving us. The conclusion refutes the conclusion of the impersonalist. So certainly this is one of Srila Prabhupada's prime mission statements, you could say, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi, that he is there to defeat the impersonalism. Although it is certainly, and it's also acknowledged in this purport, that yes, the impersonal aspect of Krishna is also Krishna. So that is also there. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavandeti, Sabdite, that Krishna has these different aspects. And they are all of him. And then he goes on, the kingdom of God, his eternal kingdom is always there. So the point of view of this verse, he's speaking to Brahma here, but he's not this understanding that everything is destructive. That is not speaking of Golok or his eternal abode, because his eternal abode is eternal, and it is never created, stays for time, and then annihilated. It is always there. It is eternally manifest. So there's that differentiation when we read this purport and read the verse. And then he goes on, there's a lot of proof. He'll quote a lot of verses about proving all of this. And then talks about, again, more about the impersonal forms of the Lord and all the different aspects of Krishna and the Vedas and understanding him. So if you really want to get into the depth of this, but I kind of want to look at it from more of an understanding of how do we actually apply this, because you read this purport, you will probably nod off a little bit, or you'll have to come back to it a number of times, or unless you're going to make a presentation somewhere, then you may not really fully understand it. But so how do we understand it? Let's just say practically. How do we understand that Krishna is existing before the creation, he's existing in everything? And this, I think, when we relate it again to Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, that I am everywhere. But how is that to be understood? It is understood through bhakti. And bhakti mama bijananti tatvata. To understand me in truth, you must have devotion. You must be devotion. So he's urging Brahma. Well, the next three verses, he'll be urging Brahma to take up this process of bhakti to understand him. And so this idea of, because I was at a function over the weekend, and the question came up that why is the nature of the material world so much suffering? If it is Krishna's creation, why is it filled with suffering? Does anybody have a thought on that? Yes.
Because if you had everything you wanted, you wouldn't, God would not qualified to hold that position. We need suffering to awaken love of God for God really is.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Any other thoughts on that? Yes.
I was also thinking, something that we experience here in the material world is that we're out of authenticity. That's often like a root cause of suffering. So this whole material world is created when we fall out of authenticity, fall out of alignment. So some of the suffering in this world, we're not operating at the highest and deepest levels of alignment
Oh, very good. Yeah. Yeah. When we, just so many things affect you, that we experience, but did it really affect me, or is it what I am conceiving myself as? Like if somebody slights people who are from New England, immediately I start thinking, wait a minute now, because I'm from New England. But that's just a misconception. Yes, in this very short period of time of my existence, yeah, I grew up in New England. I have affinity for New England, but I'm not New England. If you don't like New England, you cannot like it. That's up to you. But why do I become affected from it? Because I have attributed myself to be of New England, right? So similarly, this is the danger of the material nature, which Prabhu was saying, that when we come within it, it is not the real, it's not our real nature. And we're actually not, because we are spiritual beings, and spiritual beings, they enjoy, or all spirit, they or we enjoy as spiritual beings spiritual activities, but we're in the material nature. And yes, we can armchair this one too and say, yeah, when did we come down, or why did we come down, or when did that start, or why would we have done it, or why does Krishna allow it to start, or what we could do all that, but somehow or other it has happened. We are identifying ourselves with the material nature, and again, as Krishna is repeating here, only through devotion can we understand this, and through his mercy. And that's why it is sahasram, very secret, it is very confidential to know these things. Um, that's not the first thing we approach somebody and say, oh, do you know you're a complete illusion? That we don't do that. We shake their hand. Shake their hands. How you doing? Are you happy? Well, there's actually another nature. There's another nature where there is happiness. Let me introduce you to that. But when we misidentify ourselves, that's when the suffering comes, and therefore, again, we don't turn our back on the suffering. And we think, okay, well, they're all just suffering. Let them suffer. That's their lot. No, but we want to give them something now. And we all experience it. It's not that none of us suffer. We still get sick. We still stub our toes. We still have mental anguish sometimes, certainly. But we have touched something that convinced us enough that actually I want to hear more about this. I want to hear deeply about these things. And so, yeah, it takes a lot of energy to understand a verse of purport like this really deeply. But if we keep coming back, how did Krishna start this? He started this in a very personal gesture of touching Brahma with his transcendental hand. And Brahma, of material nature, I just assume when he felt that touch, you could just imagine transcendence touching matter. That's the rahasyam, that's the secret, that's the mystery. How does Krishna interact with us? How he has never left us, how everything here is still Krishna. It is just we haven't understood. We haven't understood or remembered that, oh, actually, this is Krishna's energy. And Krishna's energy would naturally be rightly used in his service. And that's kind of like the key that, oh, yeah, it's not that we need a car. We just say, we don't want anything matter. We'll just, absolve ourselves. No, we take that same matter and we use it in Krishna service. Oh, I did bring some. I didn't bring anything, but I have these things, and I was thinking that there are a couple statements about that that really kind of help us bridge the gap of, well, what do we do with a verse like this? It is I, the personality of God, and before creation, it is I. And how do we actually, how do we perceive this, and how do we put this into action? And so I had one time, but then I thought, okay, this other one attracts me more, I think. This is from Saranagati, where Bhaktivinoda is using a method of surrender to come very close to Krishna. And this song, very famous song, some of you may know it, but he starts, I have to find it first. It's in the Goptritre section. Yeah. He starts, and I love this song because he immediately starts with these two things, these two sides. To me, Sareshvareshvara, you are the supreme controller. So he's glorifying Krishna, just as Brahma is seeing him now. He is the supreme controller, supreme personality God, and Ishvara, Suresh Vareshvara. You are the Lord of all other Ishwaras. You are the Ishvara of all other Ishwaras. You are the supreme controller. And his very next word, Brajendra Kumar. You are also Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda. Very tiny boy who is dependent on his father. If he doesn't get what he wants, he throws a tantrum. He'll steal butter, he'll break butter, he'll do all kinds of things. Supreme Ishvara, Ishvara of all Ishvaras, Sareshvareshvara, Brajendra Kumar. So immediately he's like, try to think about this, because this is the key. This is the secret. This is the rahasyam. Tomara Ichaya. So Ichaya is this, Krishna has this Shakti, and that'll be in the next couple verses of the Chatur Sloki of Krishna's energies. And of his energies, he has this Icha Shakti. And Icha Shakti is just his desire, things happen. It's a Shakti of his. I want this, and boom, it happens. Tomara Icha, according to your will, the creation and destruction takes place. According to your will, and he'll repeat this again. Icha, Icha, Tava Icha Mato, Tava Icha Mate, Tava Icha, Tava Icha. He'll repeat it again and again. So this is a key to us, that when we question, why did something terrible happen? Why are we, so many people, bereft of his shelter? It is because this universe is created. And you can say, well, this is a very low, underhanded way to give people what they want. But we wanted it. We wanted to enjoy separate from Krishna. So, okay, I want you. His itcha, his desire is that we are happy doing what we want to do. And this kind of goes all the way back to the aham, our I. And our I, we could say, is our identity, as was mentioned. We have an identity that we have, but it's also an independence. That I is independent. He has given us this independence. And how much, you can't even fathom the amount of mercy that is. Imagine if you were in the country, if you just say, everyone is independent to do whatever you want, you would think, oh, that is very, very merciful. That is very wonderful. We're not going to, you have to come and you have to love me and you have to serve me and you have to worship me. Oh, okay. Well, if I don't, then what happens? Lightning. But no, I give you the independence. The only problem is, this is my house. You want independence. I'll give you whatever you want. I'll give you all the ingredients to build your own house. And he does that. And that's material creation. And he'll do it again and again. And not only will he do it, but again, Brahma's question, very roused, very secret. Krishna keeps coming in and out. He's weaved in and out of that creation, just so that we can become attracted to go back to him. So this understanding of Bhakti Vinod, Tava Icha Mata, Tava Icha Mata, Tava Icha Brahma, Tava Icha Vishnu, Tava Icha Shiva, Maya, Shija. By your desire, you have created through Brahma. By your desire, you are maintaining it through your Vishnu expansions. By your desire, Lord Shiva is destroying. By your desire, the material elements constructs this prison house. By his desire. And his desire is what? To grant us what we wanted. We asked for it. We wanted the independence. Tava Icha Mate Jiva. So this is back to the I again. According to your will, the living beings take birth and they die, and according to your will, they meet with prosperity and ruin, happiness and sorrow. He's created the material energy, and he created all of the influences that allow us to prosper. We see prosperous people, and then we see people also suffering. And it is all stemming back to that wanting to enjoy separately from Krishna. We're given it, but it is his mercy that he's given us a chance. Then he starts to turn our consciousness a little in this prayer. The tiny soul. So we are tiny. This is very evident in these prayers or in the Chatur Shloki. We're very tiny and we're bound up by Maya, and we vainly struggle in the fetters of worldly desires. Without your sanction, we're unable to do anything. So this is another key. That how do we perceive Krishna as the Aham Evasya Eva Gray everywhere? It is always him. We can see that this is all his energy. Yo Pashanti Sarvatra Sarva. For one who sees me everywhere and everything in me, they're never lost. We're never lost. We're never lost. And he says, they are also never lost to me. So that means he is saying that he is thinking of us. When we see him everywhere, he is thinking of us. And he's thinking, oh, this tiny jiva soul. Nichi Maya Banda Jiva Ashapashe. Ashapashe is like we're bound up. We're tiny. But he's seeing me in this. Let me give them a little bit of this. Let me get them free of this. And what is the mood of that jiva once we understand we're bound up? Oh, you are our only protector and maintainer. This is the Goptratre Sharana of Sharanagati, the sixfold Sharanagati. Goptratre is like, we know that everything coming is from your mercy. And except for your lotus feet, there is no other hope for me. No longer confident in my own strength and endeavor. Yes, I tried my hardest to be independent of you, and I've only suffered from it. Prabhupada gives us such a heart rendering example, very easy, way back in the early 60s even, or the 60s, early in the moment. He says, when a child is abandoned or becomes orphaned out there, and when you see somebody like that, your heart can't but just go out to them. They're struggling just to eating, where to find a place to sleep, but then he says, but if somebody says, oh, I know you, you're the son of such and such a rich man. Let me take you there. Let me take you to him. And then he's taken home and he's given everything for the rest of his life. He never has to think about it, need it again. So this is that. I'm not confident of my own ability to I need you. I'm solely dependent on your will. And again, it's very he says the same word, itchaya, itcha. It is your desire. I want to be in line with your desire. And in that, then I'll be like the son of such and such a rich man. Everything will be given. Everything will be given and satisfying. Bhaktivinoda finishes. I'm most poor, and my pride has been leveled. Sometimes we need our pride leveling action. And now, again, he says, Ichayatar, in accordance with your will, I will now continue my life. I will now live or do whatever you want me to. So that's one way we can approach this verse, this very deep, very confidential section of the Bhagavatam where Krishna is talking about himself and telling us about himself. So thank you very much. Boys, any questions? Quickly, yeah? Or a comment? We have no time?
Quick question.
Yeah. Oh.
My question is longer.
I think I put most of you to sleep, so I will let you have your breakfast. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.